Okay, so now that we have a nice group of folks here, so thank you so much everyone for coming. Super grateful to have you all here. Amalia and I, have been talking in the last few days, and we're really, feeling called to hold space for folks and also just to talk a little bit about what's been going on. Definitely adding to the number of people who've been joining online and been connecting with one another. And so we're definitely really grateful to have everyone here. And we're going to be working with the chat function a lot, so folks can kind of get familiar with it. If you're not familiar with it, definitely feel free to say anything you want in there. Feel free to speak with each other. And we're going to be definitely working with the chat in the spells today, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But just wanted to kind of introduce myself. I know a lot of you know me. My name is Edgar Fabián Frías. I'm a practicing mystic, a witch, a Brujx, a mutant. I'm also an artist. And I have known Amalia for a very long time. We actually go way, way back.
Before it rains, people are trying to get their meals.
Hey, let me mute everyone. That's okay, just to make sure that we can all keep talking. So, okay, I'm not muted, right? Okay, so just wanted to kind of say Amalia and I go way back. We have known each other. We met in Portland, Oregon. Amalia was one of the first people ever to give me a tarot reading back in a time where I was really needing a lot of support and a lot of help. And it feels really beautiful to kind of be here many years later and to be able to hold space with everyone here and to connect with Amalia and to bring people here together to both get to know her as well as to offer support. And so my intention for tonight is I want to really work with the magnetizing magic of this waxing gibbous moon and really kind of call in protection and health, resiliency for all of us. And so I'm really grateful for folks to be here, really to hold that intention with us. And as I said, we're definitely going to have ways for everyone to interact and kind of be a part of the spell. So with all that said, I want to introduce Amalia, and I'm so grateful for us to be here together. So definitely take it over.
So much, Edgar, my beautiful friend. I want to start off with thanking everybody who's joined us tonight, and a very, very special thanks to everybody who's helped with donations. As was stated in the bio, I am currently under quarantine. I have COVID-19, and I am expecting a lot of medical expenses. So my heart is just filled with gratitude for all of you who donated and all of you who are contributing to the collaborative spell tonight. A little bit about myself. I was born in Venezuela and I'm US raised. I'm a Bruja and I'm a master's level psychotherapist. And now I mentioned that I'm a psychotherapist because I really believe we're all experiencing a collective trauma right now, and grief, both at the macro and the micro level. And it's all a result of this pandemic, of how our governments are reacting, how our families are reacting. And my intention for tonight is to use the beautiful waxing moon to heal not only our bodies, but our spirits and our minds. So that said, I do want to talk a little bit about my experience with COVID-19 because there's so many conflicting messages that we're getting right now from the media. So I've been sick since March 6th. And I'd like to run down my symptoms because that's the most frequently asked question I get. And I know that question comes from fear. I know that question comes from maybe I have it, maybe a loved one has it. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown. I am going to be coughing a little bit because I'm still experiencing some respiratory complications. So I just ask that you bear with me. So week 1, I experienced fever, body aches, extreme fatigue, a dry cough, and night sweats. Week 2, I experienced fatigue, headaches, dry cough, and then my shortness of breath started. Week 3 is when the respiratory complications started. What this looked like for me is if I were sitting or lying down, I felt like I had just been doing some light cardio. So not quite being able to catch my breath, heart palpitations, and having a tightness and a pain in my chest. It was at this point that I got tested for COVID-19, and also I went to the urgent care at the suggestion of a nurse. I got x-rayed. They were checking for pneumonia. I don't have pneumonia. I didn't develop pneumonia. And pneumonia is really what you're looking at for. Viral pneumonia is what's linked currently to the fatalities with COVID-19. Again, I'm very lucky and I'm filled with gratitude that my case is what could be considered moderate. Now, week 4 to now, I'm still experiencing fatigue. My temperature is in about the 99s if I overexert myself. I still experience dry cough and shortness of breath if I overexert myself. Like right now, I'm starting to experience a little bit of shortness of breath, but not too bad. Now, something I really want to stress is that nobody in my household has any symptoms, none. No one who has come in contact with me has developed any symptoms. I have my own conspiracy theories about this virus and about the requirement of quarantine and social distancing. But at the end of the day, people are dying of this. And it's very alarming to me that I know I have COVID-19 and none of my family members or household has any symptoms. So I want everyone to keep that in mind when thinking about social distancing and quarantine and all that stuff. And like I said, I have my own conspiracy theories. We can definitely discuss that Q&A later. Now, emotionally, I want to talk a little bit about that. Because I do feel like being diagnosed with COVID-19 is a traumatic experience unto itself. This is something that we haven't experienced in generations, a pandemic of this extent. I feel like I was going through, and I'm still going through, the stages of grief. For a while, I was in denial. I was like, they must have gotten the test wrong. There's no way. I'm 34. I'm a generally healthy person. Like, no way. And then I found myself very, very angry, inexplicably angry. I'm still working towards my grief process. But I just wanted to call that out because even though I'm experiencing that on a micro level, this is something that happened to me. I'm sure many of you are experiencing grief on the macro level. So I invite you tonight to maybe set some intentions to process that grief through the spells. Now, if you have more questions for me personally about COVID-19, about my experience, and if you have any questions in general, please save all your questions through the chat for the end of our time together with Edgar. We have set some time apart for questions and answers. I also want to talk a little bit more about the chat function. So Edgar will be doing an opening spell. I will be doing a spell invoking blue protection, several goddesses. When Edgar is doing their spell, they will invite you to set your intentions. You can go ahead and type it in the chat function, and I will read it off at the appropriate time. When I'm doing my spell, I will invite you to set your intentions with each deity, and then Edgar will go ahead and read that off. So now before we start, does anybody have any questions about that process? You can go ahead and type it in the chat function, and we'll give a couple of seconds for that. Nope. Okay, great. So now I invite everybody collectively, let's go ahead and take 3 nice, deep cleansing breaths to start our process off tonight, okay?
Thank you so much for that, Amalia. I'm going to start off this portion of the spell. This is the opening portion. I want to just do some clearing. I'm spraying some ether spray with some sage, and there is here a pink calcite that kind of allows me to tap into the web outside of this space. So I'm also going to be cleansing this in the name of this beautiful group of 24 people who are here right now, holding that intention for a clearing to happen collectively. And so now for this portion, I'd love for us to kind of get into a mindful space. You can either close your eyes or keep them open. Just starting to kind of shift your awareness to the body. Taking a moment to allow your awareness to move down to the heart. Just letting yourself notice any sensations, any energies or emotions that are at the heart. And if it makes sense, see if you could draw some air and bring it towards your heart. Continuing to breathe, bringing air towards the heart. Now I want us to imagine that we can feel deep within us our inner fire, our inner will, our power within. Let yourself start to again, breathing into it. Allowing it to grow, expand. Start to fill your body with energy. And at this time, I would love to call forward any ancestors who have our highest purpose in mind to be present here with us. Any guides or protectors who want to show up and be here with us, come here now. We ask for this work to be for the highest good of ourselves and of our communities. I'm going to be opening this ceremony by calling in the directions, by naming the directions and the sacred elements that are part of the directions. At the end of each direction and element, I will leave some time for folks to name any commitment that they are wanting to make for that element. You can pick one, you can pick all of them, you can pick a couple, whatever feels right. And when you write out your intention, Amalia will read that intention out loud. Taking a deep breath here. We call in the element of air. Yes, bringing in air, turning towards the east, expansion, birds, our interconnectedness through time and space. The element of air takes this message around the world, calling in the animals, the plants, the spirits, and the guides of air to be here with us. And I am making a commitment to continue to contact my legislators, my people in Congress, to continue to ask for clean air and regulations on systems that are affecting the quality of our sacred air. I'm going to take a moment here. Please feel free to write any commitments you have for air if you feel called to commit.
Corinne, I commit to maintaining communication and connection with my community wherever I can find it. Thank you, Corinne.
Gonna wait another couple seconds, see if there's any more commitments to sacred air.
Fig, I am making a commitment to continue to show up in mutual aid efforts. Thank you, Fig. Alyssa, air, I commit to take air as a reminder to strengthen my roots and spread. Thank you, Alyssa. Claudia, air, commitment to trusting my network. Thank you, Claudia. Davika, I commit to speak love and gratitude into the air across time and space. Kiki, I commit to clean the air of the land where I live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We honor you, air. Now we turn towards the south, towards fire, towards our sense of inner power, towards the serpents, the dragons of fire, our sacred sensuality and sexuality, our ability to create, to conjure, to move our energies beyond time and space with the element of fire. We call in all of the animals and the plants, the spirits and the guides and the ancestors of fire to be here with us. And I am committing to continue to use my art to be a voice of the divine, of Goddess, and to allow the fires from within to move out into our sacred communities. Now I'd love to give folks a few moments to think of their commitments to fire. If you have any commitments to sacred fire, please write them now.
Joy, fire. I commit to standing in my own power and not shrink back. Katie, committing to advocating for the greatest good of all living beings. Thank you, Katie. Kiki, I commit to pleasure as a conduit for healing. Thank you. Corrine, I commit to nourishing my spark of inspiration until it is strong enough to share with the world. Thank you, Corrine. Alyssa, fire, I commit to fire that I will glow like a hot coal to help ignite new twigs and logs. Oh, let's see, hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Let's go back to Corrine. Corrine, I commit to nourishing my spark of inspiration until it is strong enough to share with the world. Thank you, Corrine. Alyssa, fire, I commit to fire that I will glow like a hot coal to help ignite new twigs and logs. Thank you, Alyssa. Fig, I am making a commitment to not engage in actions and behaviors that I know keep my fire from being as bright as it can. Thank you, Fig. Jess, I commit to allowing myself creative space and to harnessing my temper constructively. Thank you, Jess. Claudia, fire, commitment to stepping back and not letting my pride or ego take me off my path. Thank you, Claudia. TE, I commit to allowing for space to keep stoking the flames inside towards meaningful work, even in challenging times where I'd rather recoil. Thank you, TE. Rachel Ann, fire, I commit to use the fire in my heart to continue to support my community in whatever form it takes in these challenging times. Thank you, Rachel Ann. Janina, I commit to continue to tend to my inner fire, my power, passion, and creativity to share in our world. Thank you, Janina. Kiki, I commit to showing light in the shadows when they need to be shown. Thank you, Kiki.
Wow, thank you so much, everyone, for those commitments to sacred fire. We honor you, fire. And now we are turning towards the west, towards sacred water. Bless you, water, for being here with us today. Water connects us all. It is relationship. It is depth. It is true interconnectedness. Water is mutable. It is powerful. It is fluid. It has memory. We call in the animals, the plants, the spirits, and the ancestors of our sacred water. And I make a commitment to continue to use water as a medium for divination, to bring forward the messages of our ancestors, and to continue to share this information with all of the divine connections that I have. Thank you, water. Now I would like to open it up to the group. If there are any commitments to sacred water, please type them in now.
Claudia, water, commit to staying hydrated. Thank you, Claudia. Fig, water, I am making a commitment to give my body water. Thank you, Fig. Jenna, I commit to porousness and adaptability. Thank you, Jess. Jenna, I commit to using water to hydrate my cells. Thank you, Jet. Joy, I commit to feeling my emotions. Thank you, Joy. Katie, commitment to move continually toward truth and justice. Thank you, Katie. Alyssa, I commit to water that I will enter a partnership to nourish all. I'm sorry, that was Alyssa. I apologize. Katie, commitment to move continually toward truth and justice. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Alyssa. Corrine, I commit to holding space without judgment for any emotions I may have and giving myself what I need. Thank you, Corine. Kiki, I commit to feeling the emotions and surrendering to dreaming. Thank you, Kiki. Rachel Ann, water, I commit to allow myself to cry and create space for others to express their emotions during these difficult times. Thank you, Rachel. Nancy, I commit to nourishing the connection between my inner fiery core and the core of Mother Earth. Thank you, Nancy. So that was Nancy's fire commitment. Nancy's water commitment. I commit to allowing the waves of emotion, memory, connection to move me into every deeper connections. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you so much for these blessings and commitments to water. We honor you, water. And now we turn towards the north, towards the earth element. I'm holding these two smoky quartz. We invoke you, earth. You represent the body, our ancestors, the physical dimension. You ground us, you hold us. You are us, earth. We invoke all of the sacred animals and plants, ancestors, spirits, and guides of earth in the direction of north to come here now. I am making a commitment to care for my body, to love my body, to unlearn any of the ways that this system taught me how to not love my body. I will nourish my body. I will hold my body. And now we would like to ask anyone who has a commitment to sacred earth to bring forward their commitments in the chat. We'll give you a couple moments.
Joy, I commit to being a loving ancestor for future generations. Thank you, Joy. Fig, earth, I commit to moving my body in ways that feel natural and human and connect me to the earth. Thank you, Fig. Alyssa, earth, I commit to earth to remain a messenger while continually being your student. Thank you, Alyssa. Corrine, I commit to keeping this body alive for as long as I possibly can to ground my divinity in this realm. Thank you, Corrine. Katie, I commit to grounding in honesty and empathy. Thank you, Katie. Amy, I commit to continue to develop my connection to the earth by growing plants and making medicinal remedies and flower essences. Thank you, Amy. Nancy, Earth, I commit to the needs and wisdom of my flesh to sustain its sustaining power as the vehicle for my spirit. Thank you, Nancy. Jenna, I commit to nourish my body and ground my roots down with gratitude to our mother. Thank you, Jenna. T.E., I commit to the deepening the grounded parts of me by sharing protection for the sacred earth. Thank you, T.E. Rachel Ann, Earth, I commit to caring for the earth around me by growing plants and supporting others who are interested in growing plants. Thank you, Rachel Ann.
Thank you so much for all these. Oh, one more.
One more. Kiki, Water and Earth. I commit to being a caretaker and showing the connectedness with you. Thank you, Kiki. All right, I think we're good.
Thank you so much. We honor you, Water, for being here with us today. Thank you. And we turn to the center, the void, spirit, the place of infinite potential and power. In the center, we have all of the liminal beings of this dimension and of other dimensions. I would like to also name those that are present but cannot be seen, those that are kept in incarceration in this system, those that are pushed to the margins by capitalism, colonization, and patriarchy. We reach out to all of the liminal beings, hold them here in spirit. We invoke all of the animals, the plants, the sacred guides, and the ancestors of spirit to be here with us now. I make a commitment to use my presence, my power, my magic for the benefit of all life on earth. I make the commitment to listen to the sacred messages from spirit. And we would like people now to take a moment and think of their commitments to spirit. We give you a few minutes to write them out.
Fig, Center. I am making a commitment to continue to work towards developing a mindfulness practice to connect to spirit world, even when it is difficult and even when I may go for months without practicing. Thank you, Fig. Corinne, I commit to fostering our connection and doing what I can to remain open to your messages. Thank you, Corinne. Alyssa, Spirit, I commit to recognizing you, naming you, and checking on you. I commit to no longer ghosting you. Thank you, Alyssa. Kiki, I commit to being of service to collective healing and liberation. Thank you, Kiki. Jenna, I commit to creating space and keeping my channels open to connect with spirit, even when it's difficult. Thank you, Jenna. Nancy, Spirit, I commit to not knowing, taking each step with openness, unafraid of being devoid of external structures to guide me. Thank you, Nancy. Kiki, I commit to bowing to your presence daily. Thank you, Kiki.
Okay, well, we honor you, Spirit, for being here with us. Thank you, everyone, for your commitments to Spirit. And I'd like for us to now move on to the second part of this powerful spell that we're all weaving together. And we're going to move and pass it on to you, Amalia.
Wonderful. So before I start my portion of the spell, I'd like you all to start thinking of prayers that you'd like to speak out to the blue protective light, to our Mother Moon, to the patron goddess of Saturday, the Roman Fate Morta, and finally to the Celtic goddess Morgan Le Fay in her warrior form. I also want to take a little moment for a little bit of content. Notice I will be drawing blood as an offering. I will be using it with a diabetic pen, and I will be doing this when I say my prayer to Morta. So if that is an issue for you, when I start my prayer for Morta, go ahead and turn away from the camera. And with that, I will go ahead and begin. I light the sage to cleanse this physical and shared digital space of any entities that wish us any mischief or harm to all people participating and receiving this message now and in the future. I light this incense to lift the veil between us and the other world, so that our prayers will be heard. I light this blue candle and humbly call upon the spirit of blue protective light to shine upon all people who are affected by this pandemic. I invite you all now to invoke your prayer for blue protective light. All right. With that, I invoke Mother Moon. In your waxing stage, I humbly request that you increase the health of all people being affected by this pandemic. I offer you this cherished silver coin to hear our prayer. I invite all of you to speak your prayer for Mother Moon.
Healing and guidance to the earth and to all beings.
Ese romero con ruda, pues venden ruda seca también. Un poquito de orégano. Hacerse los pañitos y envolverse la cabeza por 8 días.
Wonderful. I invoke the spirit of Saturday and its patron Roman goddess, the fate Morta. I humbly ask that Morta banish this pandemic and bring death to the suffering that this pandemic has brought on all people and on this earth. I invite you now to type in your chat your prayer for Morta. Morta, I offer you my blood to hear our prayer. I invoke the Celtic goddess Morgan le Fay in her warrior form. I humbly ask for victory over this pandemic for all people. I offer you this purple flower to hear our prayer. I light this incense to lower the veil to the other world and thank all entities who heard our prayer and helped us in our spell tonight. So shall it be, so shall it be, so shall it be.
So we would like to open it for any petitions at this time. If anyone would like to type out any petitions, we'll read them out loud. Katie, a prayer for the end of suffering. May the sick and the downtrodden find relief to hardships. May we all find sustainable ways to live in harmony with Mother Nature and community. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
Claudia, a prayer for rent suspension and safe and accessible housing for all. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you, Claudia.
So we're going to take like one more minute here. Please feel free if you feel called to say a prayer, a petition here. Corinne, a prayer for the swift and peaceful death of capitalism and all suffering it causes. Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you, Corinne.
Devika, a prayer for all healers and healthcare workers, all nurses, doctors, and those who help the health of others and put their bodies at risk. Thank you so much, Devika.
Devika.
Amy, a prayer for an end to all oppressive systems and for equality and equal resources for all peoples. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
TE, a prayer for meaningful structural change to result from the suffering this pandemic has already brought. Thank you, TE.
Thank you, T.
Nancy, a petition for this wave of illness and death to truly dissolve the old structures and nourish and birth the equitable new. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Fig, may this pandemic end swiftly, and with it, the end of the delusions of wealth, the wealthy and privileged, that capitalism is a system worth participating in and upholding. Thank you, Fig.
Thank you, Fig.
Alyssa, a prayer, a new life has come from the midst, make its path smooth, and it shall go be on and on. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Joy, a prayer for a liberated, compassionate new world. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you, Joy.
Jenna, a prayer for our collective health and safety of our human bodies, with a prayer for the bringing this oppressive system to its knees and the start of a new world. Thank you so much, Jenna.
Thank you, Jenna.
Rachel Ann, a prayer for all essential workers that they may be treated with love and respect and equitably, yes, compensated for their work. May they be protected. Thank you, Rachel Ann.
Thank you, Rachel Ann.
Kay Go, a prayer for the elderly, immune-compromised folks with disability, immunosuppressed folks with disabilities, a prayer for continued protection. Thank you, Kay Go.
Thank you, Kago.
Kiki, a prayer for comfort for the grief, a prayer for wealth redistribution, for creating new and sustainable structures. Thank you, Kiki.
Thank you, Kiki.
Wow, these prayers are so powerful.
Very.
So much.
My heart is gratitude for all your prayers. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Just want to wait a second here. Yes, thank you so much, Kiki. A prayer for swift justice and towards a new paradigm. Thank you so much for that, Kiki. We're going to wait just a few more seconds here if there's any last petitions before we start to close. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for these powerful prayers and petitions. We want to now start to close this ceremony and allow ourselves to slowly start to return towards our bodies, holding all of these prayers and commitments. As you return to your breath again, moving your awareness towards your heart, allowing your breath to get grounded in the heart, letting yourself feel the presence of the group, the power of our collective magic. Taking a moment to share gratitude for every single person that is here with us. And I want people to start to draw their power, their energy back to them, knowing that we are slowly closing this ceremony. We would like to thank all of the ancestors, the spirits, the guides, the beings that are here with us, May they return safely. Thank you for your presence with us. We ask to close this powerful circle, this spell that we've all co-created. And I want everyone to imagine or to, with your hands or other body parts, to create a sigil, a symbol, something that can help you lock this energy in. Do it now. Locking this energy into this field. Thank you so much, everyone. We are so grateful for your presence here. I'm literally have goosebumps all over. So, thank you. Now we want to just transition and hold space. We have, a few minutes here. We want people, if they'd love to share any comments, anything that came through for them. And also we want this to be a time, if anyone has any questions for Amalia about her experience, about anything that we talked about tonight, let this be the time for folks to share. And either talking in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, also feel free and talk with us that way too.
Davika, thank you so much. My best wishes for you, and again, health to us all.
Same. Thank you so much, Devika.
Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, Kiki. Thank you, Pansy Tarot.
I have much love and appreciation for you too. Thank you. All right, so Fig says, thank you so much, everyone. Amalia, I would enjoy to hear your conspiracies you mentioned at the beginning. Well, I don't know if you've all watched The Purge, the very silly horror movies. The premise is that one night a year, everything is legal. You can murder, you can kill, anything, right? But as the series goes on, and as the the word escapes me, but the sequels, you find out what the Purge actually is a government experiment to purge the unwanted people. So queer folks, brown, black folks, poor folks, disabled folks. One of my conspiracy theories is that this is some sort of global purge, biological warfare to get rid of poor people, disabled people, brown and black folk. Yeah, that's my main conspiracy right now. See, let's go back to the chat. I'm on my phone, so I appreciate your all's patience. Let's see here. Corinne, I'm very grateful for you too. Fig, I'm glad I put a smile on your face. Amy, I'm sending you love and healing as well. Ever, I'm so glad you felt the warmth radiating around you. I felt it as well, and I thank you. Katie, are you open to sharing a bit about your experience with being ill with us? Yeah, absolutely. I am open to it. Did you have any specific questions? I did go over my symptoms. Anything specific that you wanted to know? Jenna, I'm glad you feel powerful and grounded, Jenna. I do too. Amalia, what do I think about potential asymptomatic COVID carriers? Well, to be perfectly honest, it scares me a bit. Like I mentioned before, none of my family has any symptoms whatsoever. No one in my household has any symptoms, and I really wonder if there isn't some intention behind that, you know? I worry about it. I worry about people who are vulnerable. I worry about the lack of tests that we have in our country. A very good friend of mine, she lives in Kuwait, and we've been talking throughout this, and she's just aghast at the fact that my family isn't being tested, my household isn't being tested, and they're essentially allowed to continue their lives as nothing. So it scares me. I have fear about it. Let's see, Alyssa, Amalia, I would also love to touch on who you call on during the ritual. Absolutely. So I am Latina, and as a Latina, I have a very mixed ethnic background, we'll put it that way. And of course, I touched on Mother Moon, who we are all aware of. Morta is the Roman fate of death. I think we all probably watched Hercules when we were young. You know, the three fates, the ones who hold the string of life. Morta is actually the one who cuts it. And when I called upon her to cut the string of this virus's life. Now, Morgan Le Fay, she is from my Celtic part of my heritage. She has a very vast mythology, rich. A lot of people know her as King Arthur's sister. Some know her as the Queen of the Fae. I worship her as the Morrigan, so the mother, the maiden, and the crone aspect. She's a warrior goddess, fertility goddess. She comes into your life when things need to be shook up. So, you know, she would be along the same lines of more known goddesses like Kali or Pele, you know, just those mother goddesses that are fierce. Let's see here. Let's see, Katie, coming through the other side, were you left with any specific insights from your experience? No. This is chaos. This is chaos. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I take that back. I do have specific insight. Now more than ever, it's the time to give ourselves to the divine and give ourselves to that power of chaos, because there is beauty in chaos. There is power in chaos. And I believe at the end of this, a lot of systems will die. A lot of infrastructures that are left to oppress us will die. So the insight that I hold is to trust in chaos. Fig, can you expand more on the patron saint of Saturday? I think it was. Oh, yeah. So I just gave a little bit more about her. So she is one of the three fates from the Roman pantheology, and she is in charge of actual death. Any more questions about that? Let's see. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, vibrancy through chaos. That is what we're learning today. Fifth, a great question. What is the significance of Muertos being Saturday? So Saturday is actually typically ascribed to Saturn. But if you go back to matriarchal lines, the three fates are, like many goddesses, the origin of the day Saturday. So basically, Saturday was stolen from the three fates, specifically Marta. Let's see. These are great questions, y'all. Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
And I wanted just to say too that we're going to be putting this video up on YouTube on my channel. So if people have any things that they missed out on, so for example, I share a lot about her symptoms in the beginning. So if folks have anything that they missed out on, we will definitely be putting this video up for you all to see, but definitely want to spend a couple more minutes if there are any more questions. I see a couple more.
Okay. Yes, Karine. Saturday does belong to all three fates. Absolutely. But as we know, usually with triple goddesses, they're different faces of the same goddess. And Katie, thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate you being here. Rachel, I'm very thankful to be sharing this space with you. Karine, I love the fates too.
I see your question, Alyssa. I can share a little bit about what I used for each element. So I brought in a feather for the element of air. I had some tea that I have now finished. That was for the element of water. And I had a candle here that I brought in for the element of fire, and smoky quartz for the element of earth, like you said. And for spirit, I just use my presence in my hands because spirit is the void. So just wanted to have that be kind of nothingness. So thank you for that question, Alyssa.
Nancy, this is a great question. And Edgar, I think I'd really like you to answer it as well. So Nancy asks, thoughts on continuing to emanate vibrancy and source through chaos and deflect the projectiles that fly at us, often out of others' fears. Yes, I do have thoughts on that. For me, it's continuing to have faith in that chaos. It's a way to continue to emanate that vibrancy. Knowing that that chaos has a space in our world, in our life, in our spirit, and that it's necessary to decimate everything. Yeah, I think that's my answer. Now, as far as others' fears go, that's a trickier one. And what I really want to say is their fear is part of the chaos that we have to trust in. Chaos can't happen without fear. So even though it sounds counterintuitive, it's all part of the divine. It's all part of the process that needs to be happening. Edgar, anything you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, I definitely would want to say that, you know, I myself do a lot of like kind of protective like visualizations and grounding throughout the day. Like for example, if I go out into community, especially now, I love to envision protection around myself. I have, for example, something that I do that's really quick that I love to share is I have like a little kind of incantation I use, which is divine within me, earth beneath me, sky above me, love surround me. And I will write that in the chat just so that people can have that. But I definitely feel like kind of working some sort of invocation can be really powerful to help you just be able to kind of feel more protected and grounded as you're going on about your day. So again, I will type that in the chat box right now if people want that. But whatever works for you, some sort of way to powerfully create like a shield around you, and and visualizing a shield that will still allow you to connect with people. So a word I like to use is diaphanous. So you can kind of work how opaque or clear it is. If that makes sense. So, I'll type that in chat right now.
And I went ahead and typed in my Venmo. I know that Jenna asked for it. Edgar, once you're done typing the protection mantra, then you can go ahead and type in your Venmo as well. That's so beautiful, that mantra. And I absolutely agree with Edgar. I think there is some protection that we all need to do at this time. But again, just knowing and holding that space for the necessity of that chaos. Nancy, thank you so much.
I don't know if there's anyone that wants to say anything out loud, unmute themselves. If someone wasn't able to type but wanted to speak. Okay, well, we want to thank everyone so much for your time and for being here with us. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say, Amalia.
Yes, so for those of you who are still with us, I will be creating my own Instagram, Santa Puta was the name. Yes, praise Santa Puta, ni santas ni putas, somos mujeres. Yes. So for those of you who followed me on my personal Instagram account, I will be following you back with the Santa Puta account. On that, I will be doing moon rituals, Sabbath rituals, and daily card readings.
Well, welcome, Santa Puta. Thank you so much for sharing that exclusive information here with us. Thank you so much, everyone. We look forward to staying in touch, definitely. I'm going to be putting contact information for Amalia on the video that will be up on my YouTube page. So if anyone wants to contact her, it will be there. I will also be leaving some contribution information if folks want to leave some donations as well there too, in case folks weren't able to do that right now. Or if you want to share this video with other people, we also would really appreciate that. To let other people know about this, what we talked about here tonight, as well as the powerful spells and intentions that people made. So thank you everyone so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Yes, thank you all so much. Love to everyone. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone.